Your lift is going up where you belong. Is it going up? Well, if it's not going up after that, I don't know. You know, we're going to have to get a crane to get you moving. What a wonderful thing it is to come to a new year. It makes me feel good. How about you? Well, I think this is a time for a theme that I'm calling Principles for Successful Living. And Principles for Success is my first topic from that series. And I'm particularly concerned about how it is that we come to a new moment, any new moment. And if we are really thinking about what we are told by science, we come to life in drops of new moments. And in every moment, there is a coming and a perishing. So that what you see is not really what you get. We are all pulsating in and out of life in every moment, but there is something that continues the memory so that objectively you seem to be here all the time. But we won't get lost in that quantum kind of idea. What I want you to get lost in is the fact that every new moment is exactly that. Now, I'm not one of these people who will get up here and tell you all you have to do is to stay in the present moment. There's nowhere else to stay. But the truth of the issue is, your life is the datum, the memories you have. And you can see what happens to somebody who can only be in the moment and has no memory of the past. You don't exist without your past. And also you don't exist without a sense of moving the present and the past into the future for some new idea. If you can understand the wholeness of past, present, and future, and realize that the moment of your life, this moment of your life, is your creative moment. It is the time when you can impact what it is that is happening in your life, and if you don't like what is happening, you can change it. You can change it. And so this morning, I want you to think about your possibility button. I saw a recent cartoon of two presidents of two different countries rushing to push that nuclear button. We won't get into who these people are. I want you to understand that there is a greater button than that button for us to all push. And it's our creative possibility power button. You have that within you. And if you come to each day as if yesterday is the leftover, well, rather today is the leftover of yesterday, you would be like somebody dating for the first time. And your date suggests, come on home, I'll prepare a meal for you. And then he or she goes in and takes out the leftovers from yesterday and put it before you. Would your relationship be going anywhere in a case like that? I don't think so. I think you would say, no, I don't think I need this. And you'd walk away. And yet many of us come to our todays as if it is a leftover yesterday. It's a stale yesterday. And so we are bored and we're out of our mind and we're hopeless and we feel victimized. And that's exactly what not to do when you come to this moment that we call today. Today is not yesterday's leftover. Today should not be yesterday's hangover either. We must come to today with a sense of optimism, with a sense that, gee, this is an opportunity for me to do something with my life. You know, the psalmist, he said in Psalm 118:24, this is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Perhaps a modern rendition of that would be, this is the day the Lord has made. I'll be positive and optimistic and successful in it. There's no reason why you can't modify these great sayings into something that works for you. And once you start doing that, you'll begin to understand why in that consciousness of what is powerful, creative, and positive, the men, Jesus and the centurion, could get together in an idea that healing was possible. The centurion is asking for healing of his servant. Now, if you didn't believe the future could be better than your past or your current present, then you would just say, well, Jesus could, for example, tell the centurion, man up a little bit. Go and tell your servant to, get used to the little suffering and little uneasiness, and in time, maybe it will go away. That's exactly how not to approach your year. That's exactly how not to approach your life. The things that have not been working because it's time to make a change in how you think about them. And if you can't go in and push that button of possibilities to recognize that there is something you can contact, something that you can touch within yourself, it's hidden within you, that you can transform your life as a result of making that initial foray into that place within that creates everything. And so when we sing the song, Don't You Worry, that Bob Marley gave us, don't you worry about a thing. Because every little thing's got to be all right. It is not just a matter of then not thinking about how you're going to make it all right, but is first accepting in the consciousness, in your attitude, that this possibility exists in me. And all I have to do is make a clear decision in my mind that it does. And then you start the walk into optimism. You start to walk into not simply enduring a bad condition, but to come to a place of acceptance within yourself that is so powerful and so creative that you can't even believe that it's there. But the first sign of it being there that you're convinced of is how your eyes light up. How your eyes light up. You can tell when somebody is defeated by looking in their eyes. And you can tell that no matter what the circumstance is, that you are not defined by your circumstance, but you're defined by your acceptance in attitude of your circumstance. And if you can see your circumstance simply as the challenge through which you must travel to get out to the other side of your best possibilities, then suddenly you don't have the same relationship of being stuck, of suffering, of being hopeless, no matter what it is. But you realize that this is the moment that the Lord has given us. However you want to say that. This is the moment for me to create something new in my life. And it begins with my pushing that possibility button within myself. It begins with saying, I have this challenge. But I'm glad I'm me. I love this possibility that I'm seeing right now. And I know that God is my source. How hard is that to say? We start there, and suddenly we will understand why every little thing is going to be all right. Suddenly there is a shift in consciousness. We need to understand that every life needs a bigger thing to live for besides just surviving and getting your own. We're not that kind of people. This is not that kind of medium that we're living in. This medium is one of love and compassion and caring about each other, even as we care about ourselves. The commandment didn't say you must only care about yourself. It says care about others as you care about yourself. Why? Because there's a wholeness about life that is spiritual. And you cannot fulfill your deepest desire to be fulfilled in this journey of living without encompassing more and more of that acceptance of what the commandment says. You need a vision which is a bigger picture of what your life is besides going home and writing your bills and making enough money and buying the things you need. You need a vision that brings you to aliveness. A vision is like a baptism of renewal. We have the image of Jesus being baptized by John. And we look at it as some kind of an ancient ritual, which it is. But it's not ancient when you begin to understand the principles back of it. That your vision allows you to immerse yourself into the greater aspect of God's goodness and to embody that as your particular gifts and talents allowed you to do, and to bring that forward out of yourself with a sense of optimism, with a sense of positiveness, with a sense that you can make a positive difference in this life. So let's get back to that light that comes in your eyes. You may not see that there's a connection between you and Genesis 1. Where P, the priestly writer of Genesis 1, writing somewhere about the 4th century BC, wrote that God not only created heaven and earth, but God said, "Let there be light." I want to invite you at this time of the year to think of that light of your vision that you should embody. When you have that light in your eyes, when you have that vision in your life, when you realize your life is more than your circumstance, just as this was true of the servant of the centurion. It's not the circumstance, the seeming limitation is simply what you need to engage to bring out that greater part of yourself. Failure is nothing but a training tool. It's there to train you to know how you can fathom that depth of yourself that is far greater than what is before you. And so we look at that light in your eyes, and the light in the eyes of great people we admire. And we may even remember that little poem that says, the lives of great men all remind us that we can make our lives sublime, and departing leave behind us footprints on the sands of time. The idea here is that you're not only here to live a successful life, but to leave a successful legacy for others to come along. None of us would be where we are, no matter where we are, without the work of others who have gone before us. And once you begin to understand this is the kind of life we're living, and this is what people call spiritual, then you realize it's a practical thing. We're helping ourselves by helping each other. We're coming into a bigger idea of who we are and what we are, and we're making it work for a better world. You can understand then why I love the quote by William James where he says, one of the greatest discoveries of my generation is that a man can alter his life by altering his attitude. You can change your life by changing your thinking, Ernest Holmes says. And who is in charge of that thinking? And who is in charge of your attitude? I hear people say all the time, well, you make me feel bad. Nobody can make you feel bad without your permission. Stop making people make you feel bad. You have control over what it is you will choose to feel. And which doesn't mean that if you see something bad, you're going to feel good about it. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the general creative attitude that when you look at a situation that is challenging, that instead of melting before it and feel already defeated, you feel the power surging up in you. You feel that you're equal to the task. You feel that there is a source within you that knows that it can, will, and shall. And what makes that work is you. It's your decision. It's your attitude. Take a look at what you're habitually doing in face of your challenges. And you will be looking at what your consciousness is at that point. That is why Aristotle says, we are what we habitually do. Your habits are really the evidence of the consciousness you have inculcated, that you have absorbed. When you are in a challenging position, go back to your vision to say, what is my life about? You know, sometimes you get a ticket driving, or sometimes you may lose your key and can't get back into your house. My daughter lost her key because she went to get our car serviced, and she took one of the Uber home and lost her key. And she had to try to call and couldn't get through, and then she had to get one of these key masters to come and open the door. Well, after she got the door open, Uber showed up with her key. So she had to pay for that big bill with a key master coming and opening our door, and she has to pay the Uber guys to come back and bring the key. Now you can stay and say, oh my God, why do I have to do this? You can get locked into these elements of experience. Or you can go back to say, what a wonderful thing it is that there was a way for me to solve this problem. And then be thankful for it, learn from it, and move on. There's nothing like gratitude to heal. Nothing like gratitude to heal a disappointment. Gratitude of what it is you still can do. What it is that is open to you for your pushing that button of possibilities. When you have that sense of the vision of your life, a gratitude for that vision, that bigger picture of your life, then you will understand the image that is rendered in the gospel, where having baptized Jesus, it says the heavens opened, and the voice of God said, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I'm well pleased." That is the cosmic message to us all. That when we open the heaven which is within us, when we open the field of all possibilities that exist within us, something is transformed. And the message comes through powerfully and clearly that you are a worthwhile, beloved one in whom God is well pleased. And this is not based on what you have done. This is based on who you can be in the moment. What are you willing to accept of yourself in this moment? How can you reframe your possibilities from just what seemed to be too limited a life to one that is expansive? Well, you need to make a plan. You have a vision, make a plan. I call it, give your plan legs. Too many people have plans without legs. Do you have a plan without legs? Too many people pray without doing. I call this impotent prayer. Prayer without legs is crippled. Prayer without action is impotent. Prayer without energy is paralyzed. Prayer without doing is disabled. So what is the opposite? Potent prayer, I call it. Prayer with legs is God's right action. Prayer with legs is covenant. Prayer with legs is creation. Prayer with legs is thriving and flourishing. That's what happens when you give your prayers legs. What is it that you have to do? Not just what God has to do. Come on, people. Ernest Holmes says, life is what it does. Not just what it thinks about. Not just what it prays about. Not just what it contemplates. Your life is a doing. Yes, it's powerful to have the right thought to guide you. But guiding you doesn't mean doing it for you. Guiding means that you have this cosmic partner to walk with. But you are God's arms and eyes and legs and voice. You are the one that must do it. In the Epistle of James 1:22, it says, "But be you doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves." Some people want to hear the word. We hear the principle say, well, science of mind doesn't work. Not science of mind doesn't work. Principles work if you work them. You got to work the principles. I was watching the skating the other night, last night as a matter of fact. And here's this young Chinese-American fellow, Nathan Chang. And Nathan is one of the world's great skater at 18. And I'm watching nervously as the last four best skaters skate. And Nathan is saved for the last. Get the word out. Saved for the last. And you know, there's something that makes you start admiring a star. Because I've never watched Nathan before, but here he is. And I said, wow, I don't know if he can beat these guys. And he comes up and he's confident. And he's doing these quads, 4 times around instead of 3, which most people can do 3. And he's setting a new bar. And he just nailed it. And he's modest in his victory, but you could see the eyes, the light in the eyes. You could see it in all of the competitors, as a matter of fact. Because at this point, it's not a matter of who is first. At this point, what matters is who is engaged in his life the best way he can. Because the bottom line is not a competition, really. The bottom line, it's a participation. It's how you are willing to participate in your life as you. And at that point, it's not a competition. But still, we like competition. And I'm just thinking, gee, this would be nice to get a gold medal here. And he might. But for those of us who like to hear the theories, and then when the theories don't work for themselves, and demonstrate the good you want, you say, well, the principle doesn't work. Listen to Leonardo da Vinci. He says, the supreme misfortune is when theory outstrips performance. The supreme misfortune is when theory outstrips performance. You're talking about one of the greatest of the great. Now, we don't have to be Leonardo da Vinci. But we can use the same principle he used by asking myself or yourself, am I just a theory person? Let me show you where you can get too lost in theory. You can get too lost in theory when you think that a miracle is just a matter of speaking a word and doing nothing and something appears. I have never seen a person pray and put muscles on without exercising. I've never seen it. Prayer is not a substitute for your engagement of life. It's an opportunity that is opening up for you to engage life. I've never seen a person just merely pray and demonstrate a lot of wealth. If you read the stories of different people, you'll find that they had a big idea. And it wasn't the money. It wasn't the money. They wanted to bring this big idea, whether you're talking about Henry Ford, Steve Jobs, whatever you're talking about, they had an idea. Now, we don't have to have the same big idea that they had. And it's not a matter of how much money you're making. Psychology has proven that after you've gotten over the poverty line, where you can take care of yourself, the amount of money doesn't make any difference to your happiness. Positive psychology has done research on that. So what I'm saying is, there's a certain level at which we all need to earn, but for those of us who feel like we need to do better, there's a science to money. And that's what we are engaging in. We want you to have the inspiration of money, but you must also have the science of money. When you read anthropology, you will find that the ancient people always had the science of doing something and the religious belief about how to get it done. It always existed. In a sense, you could say, a science of mind, which is a combination of the scientific principle and the spiritual principle being brought together, has always been part of the human journey through life. And so you would pray for whatever you're doing, but then you'd go and you make your tools to do what needs to be done. I am saying to you, there are tools that we need to learn. The people who get rich are not more proficient in praying than the people who don't. They're more proficient at the science of making money. And that's what we want you to have here at Founders. I want you to be able to make a difference in your world by understanding that there are principles, scientific principles here that we can learn and apply and make a difference. Now you're saying, well, is that a miracle or is that not a miracle? It's all a miracle. Life is a miracle. The fact that we can be here communicating with each other, it's a miracle. Now, Winston Churchill says success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Success is not final. We're on a journey. You know, sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. The ancient Negro spiritual sings that way. Failure is not fatal. The beauty about failure is that you are open to try new things. And what it is, it's a training method of what to let go of and new things to try. It is not a comment on your consciousness. It's not a comment on your character. It's a comment on the fact that you're a learner and you're willing to continue to learn. This year we can do that together. Arianna Huffington, who is very well known now for the Huffington Post online publication, she was refused by 36 publishers to get her second book published. 36. 36 failures, you could say. Didn't stop her. Got published. The other thing is, when she started her online publication, it was criticized for not meeting all kinds of standards. So sometimes you start a process, and you don't start it at a very high standard, but you start it where you can. And that's the only place to ever begin, where you are and how you can. Don't put off starting just because it's not ideal. The only time you ever get to start something is in the present moment. And if you keep postponing it, You're postponing your life. Remember, your time is your life. How you spend your time is how you're spending your life. And if you really want to make sure that you're on that journey, remember it begins with the first step. The great Lao Tzu told us many years ago. So this year, let me invite you to immerse yourself into the positive atmosphere of success. Say to yourself, God is successful in me. I am successful in God. And that whatever I do, however it has gone so far, I am no longer accepting any failure. I'm accepting that that was simply an experience I'm learning from, and I now move into claiming my divine birthright that I am a son or daughter of God. And today I will commit myself to act like that son or daughter of God. Come to your life every day with a sense of gratitude. You can't be depressed if you're grateful. Psychology has proven that. Find something to be grateful for. There always is. Find somewhere to start. There always is. It doesn't matter how minuscule, how small it is. Make that start today. And come to a place where you understand that the principles of success is the practice of the principle. God bless you all.